Coming up tonight on CTV News, police need your help looking for a suspect involved in a string of robberies. And elections are on the horizon, what you need to know before casting your vote. Plus, a local man is getting national recognition for his work with the Prince George's County Library System. Those stories and more tonight on CTV News.
Good evening. This is CTV News for May 13th. Thanks for joining us. Prince George's Police is looking for the woman linked to several robberies at convenience stores across the county. Take a look at your screen. Do you recognize this woman? Investigation reveals that this suspect was involved in a robbery at a store on the 4700 block of Crane Highway back on April 30th. A sheriff's deputy attempted to arrest the suspect in the store, but she got away. The deputy then tried to get control of the suspect while she was in a car, but the driver accelerated the vehicle at a high speed. Ultimately, the deputy was dragged into the parking lot. Officials say the deputy did sustain minor injuries, but is expected to be okay. The driver, Andrew Franklin, has been arrested and charged with robbery and assault. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of the suspect is asked to contact police. And the next phase of the Key Bridge operation is set to go off tonight. For weeks, engineers have been preparing to detonate a massive span that now rests on the bow of the cargo ship. The steel span is about 500 feet long and weighs up to 600 tons. Governor Westmore reiterated the operation's commitment to safety.
We remain on track to fully reopen the full 50-foot channel. And this evening, at 5 p.m., weather permitting, Unified Command will deploy the use of precision cutting to clear the wreckage on top of the dolly. We discussed these precision cuts during our last press conference, and the strategy we will use on the Key Bridge wreckage was used to remove and replace the Harry Nice Bridge in Charles County. So there is precedent, and this is a best practice.
The ship's 21 crew members will remain below deck while the explosives are being detonated. The operation was supposed to take place over the weekend, but was postponed due to weather. While Maryland sees sluggish early in-person voting turnout ahead of Tuesday's primary election, slightly over 156,000 or 4% of the state's population cast ballots during the early voting period. That's nearly 10% fewer than the 2022 primary. Prince George's leads the state with over 23,000 people voting early, followed by Baltimore, Montgomery, and Anne Arundel counties. Somerset County is at the bottom of the pack with only 450 people voting early. Almost 640,000 Marylanders have requested a mail-in ballot. And Tuesday is primary day in Maryland, and the U.S. Senate race isn't the only race on the ballot. All 8 congressmen are up for re-election, and there are 15 people running for school board seats in 5 districts throughout the county. Seats in District 1, 4, 5, 7, and 8 are up for grabs. In the 4th Congressional District, incumbent Glenn Ivey has 4 challengers for his seat. In the 5th Congressional District, incumbent Steny Hoyer also has 4 challengers. And in the 8th Congressional District, incumbent Jamie Raskin faces 3 challengers. Meantime, the costliest race ever in Maryland ends tomorrow as voters go to the polls. Congressman David Trone has spent more than $61 million of his own money, outspanning Angela Alsobrooks by 10-1. Both candidates have spent months courting the state's 2.2 million Democratic voters as they make their case to replace retiring U.S. Senator Ben Cardin. Things got very interesting in February when former Republican Governor Larry Hogan threw his hat in the ring. It then became a contest of who is better suited to be a popular 2-term governor. Polls open tomorrow at 7 a.m. And Maryland Congressman Steny Hoyer says Angela Alsobrooks is the best person to take on Larry Hogan this November. Representative Hoyer is backing Alsobrooks as she looks to become Maryland's next U.S. Senator. He says Alsobrooks has the skill, ability, and temperament to lead in the Senate. If Alsobrooks wins the primary and then defeats Larry Hogan, she would be only the 2nd woman ever to represent Maryland in the U.S. Senate and Maryland's first black person to serve in the U.S. Senate. Currently, Maryland does not have women serving on either sides of the delegation. Again, the primary election is set for tomorrow.
We need to have everybody represented in our delegation. We have now not a single woman in our delegation. During my years of service in the Congress of the United States, at one point in time we had half women, five women, and 5 men, a representative delegation to the Congress. Now we have not a single woman in our delegation, either in the Senate or in the House. And I think that's frankly a deficit that we need to overcome.
Again, primary election day is tomorrow. And police are investigating a fatal shooting that occurred Saturday morning at the MGM Resort and Casino in Oxon Hill. Around 4:50 a.m., officers responded to a call from MGM Special Police of a reported shooting. Police located the victim in the parking garage suffering from gunshot wounds. Officers performed life-saving measures. However, the victim succumbed to his injuries on the scene. Preliminary investigation reveals a suspect shot the victim during a dispute. A reward of up to $25,000 is being offered for information leading to an arrest and indictment in this case. And you're watching CTV News. Still to come, a local man is getting national recognition for his work with county teens. Stay tuned.
When people ask us who we are, we tell them we're problem solvers, opportunity creators, community builders, and change makers. We are Rotary. Around the world, our network of 1.4 million neighbors, friends, and leaders volunteer their skills, expertise, and resources to solve issues and address community needs. We are people of action. Join us, and together, we can make an even greater impact. Find out how you can get involved at rotary.org/action.
Welcome back. Police departments across the state continue to struggle to fill vacancies in the ranks. In our area, Montgomery County lost 194 officers over the past 5 years and has a vacancy rate of 14%. Shortages are also impacting Prince George's County Police. Officials say the department is below its fully staffed quota of 1,800 officers. One of the biggest drivers in the drop of numbers, according to officials, is retirement. A number of initiatives have been launched to address the issue, including larger salaries and signing bonuses. Officials have also talked about easing some of the eligibility requirements. And a figure of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System receives national attention for his work with teens in the county. I sat down with Isaiah West, the system's teen services specialist and the leader of the library's social justice camp.
My teen years were not the easiest, as most people's teen years aren't.
Isaiah West knows well how difficult it can be growing up. He remembers his own teen years looking for a mentor.
Ups and downs, a lot of identity exploration. As a gay man in small town East Tennessee, I didn't see my future. There was no one there that really depicted what I could be or what I could live.
Today, he works as Prince George's County Library's teen services specialist.
That's what I try to do for the teens that I work with, is I can show them a future that I'm living. I live an authentic version of myself, so that maybe they can see a little bit of themselves in me and see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
An idea West had for summer youth programming has blossomed into a week-long social justice camp county teens have been taking part in since 2022.
So these camps were designed to engage teens in responsive and responsible activism. We had a lot of teens during lockdown that wanted to get involved. So there was a lot of protests happening surrounding Black Lives Matter in the summer of 2020, leading through 2021. And we had a lot of teens joining our teen action group wanting to get into activism and social justice and advocacy, and they wanted to be out there doing something, but they didn't know how, and they didn't know how to do it responsibly and safely.
Beyond giving participants the tools to be social justice advocates, the camps teach skills that get teens ready for college and a career.
These camps not only provide them with like the history and knowledge of social justice work, but also job and life skills. We teach them public speaking, we teach them time management, we teach them problem solving, but those skills that you need to be successful in social justice work are the skills that you need to be successful everywhere else.
For his work as an educator and as the leader of the youth camp, West was honored by the Library Journal's Movers and Shakers list.
The reason I continue to work with young people is because this is such a charged time. And I think that teens are often forgot about as a population when there's so much else going on in the world. And we don't need to forget them. They need their voice. We need to continue to develop them because they are mere years away from being in, a very important position of power where they have a vote.
And to learn more about the library's social justice camp and its other teen services, visit pgcmls.info. And officers in Seat Pleasant apprehended a suspect last Wednesday soon after a stabbing. It happened on the 5900 block of Martin Luther King Jr. Highway. Police say 40-year-old Maurice Green Jr. got into a verbal dispute with the victim, an adult male, which resulted in Green stabbing the victim multiple times. The victim was taken to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Green is currently being held without bond. And the state of Maryland is on track to open its first full-service school of veterinary medicine, and it will be located at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, making it a first for any public HBCU in the country. The Maryland Higher Education Commission gave its approval earlier this year. The plan still hinges on the school receiving accreditation from the American Veterinary Medicine Association Council on Education. Officials say it would play an important role in addressing the shortage of vets on the Eastern Shore and Maryland. The school plans a 3-year program and to graduate 100 students a year when it opens in the fall of 2026. And Maryland residents could be seeing a spike in internet costs this month due to a federal discount program coming to an end. The Affordable Connectivity Program provided up to $30 in monthly discounts on internet bills for low-income households. Almost 300,000 Marylanders relied on the program earlier this year before it came to an end in April. The program ended due to a lack of additional funding from Congress. And employees at the Apple Store in Towson have voted to authorize a strike over working schedules and pay. The union says that after a year of negotiations with Apple management, issues regarding work-life balance, unpredictable scheduling practices, and wages failing to align with the area's cost of living remain unsolved. They were the first Apple employees in the country to unionize when they joined the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers in 2022. No date for any potential walkout has been set. And McDonald's is considering adding a $5 meal to its menus across the U.S. as a way to get customers back into its restaurants. The meal could include a choice of select entrees as well as fries and a drink. This comes as customers are cutting back on fast food dining after many chains, ranging from McDonald's to Subway, have raised prices in recent years to offset higher labor and ingredient costs. And still to come on CTV News, we're taking a deep dive into the blueprint for Maryland's education plan. Don't go away, we'll be back in a moment.
The doctor said I only had a 29% chance to find you. But I knew you were out there. Every night, even when my heart was sad, I wished for you to sign up. I got so sick that I couldn't go to school, but I still made people laugh. But when we matched, it was the best day ever. Dear donor, your blood stem cells saved me from leukemia. Thank you forever and ever and ever. Sincerely, Owen.
Experience the true joy of saving a life at nmdp.org.
You may have heard that the American Legion helps honor our fallen heroes.
Or that the American Legion helped write the GI Bill, enabling veterans to get a college education.
And yeah, you've heard us tell a good story or two.
But did you know that the American Legion does so much more for our veterans? From advocacy on Capitol Hill to serving others in our communities, the American Legion continues its tradition of strengthening America through service. Learn more about supporting veterans in your community by visiting legion.org.
Well, it's big, bold, ambitious, and it could transform education in Maryland. We're talking about the blueprint for Maryland's future. The massive plan calls for billions of dollars in state and local funding each year over the next 10 years. The blueprint, as it's called, has 5 pillars. The first is early childhood education. Byron Scott has our story.
All right, you guys come in, take your seat.
When it comes to improving education, the experts say you've got to get the students early.
Open your eyes. Say it.
This is a pre-K class at Gladys Noon Spellman Elementary School in Cheverly. It is one of 200 pre-K classrooms operating in Prince George's County. The goal is to get these young people ready for kindergarten and on the early path to a successful future.
What they need to be prepared for when they go to kindergarten, they're asked to be able to count from 1 to 30. Oh, this is a big one. This is a big one.
The first pillar of the Blueprint for Maryland's Future at the left calls for expansion of full-day pre-K for all 4-year-olds and low-income 3-year-olds. The plan calls for using a combination of pre-K classes in public schools along with pre-K seats at private child care providers that have been accredited by the state.
The blueprint looks for a mixed delivery system, so we want to look for those opportunities to offer pre-kindergarten opportunities for eligible parents from both the public school setting as well as with our private child care providers.
Next year, where will you be? Kindergarten.
School officials say currently there are nearly 5,000 pre-K students in public school classrooms at Prince George's County. 139 are enrolled in pre-K at private care providers in the county. The young students receive 6.5 hours of class time each day.
Our plan for our new school development includes every new school that's built in Prince George's County from a pre-K to 8 setting has space for pre-kindergarten classrooms.
That plan, no doubt, will require lots of effort and lots of money. And this at a time when the state and local jurisdictions are facing budgetary issues.
So I'm very excited about it.
More than 20 years ago, Dr. Alvin Thornton chaired the Commission on Education, Finance, Equity, and Excellence. Also called the Thornton Commission, it was a precursor to the blueprint. He knows well the money issues. The expansion of pre-K also means expanding the number of classrooms and expanding the workforce at the same time, where again, we get back to money matters.
The challenges are as they were with Thornton, to make sure that there is no interruption in funding. See, when Thornton passed in 2002, after the first 4 or 5 years, there was interruption in funding because of economic downturn. See, remember we had the 2007 and 8 housing crisis. The state coffers became less full, and therefore there was less money to continue funding for what we call the Bridge to Excellence. You saw in this legislature, and you'll see in the next one, where can we get the additional money? So you see the senators and delegates and the governor saying, well, do we have taxation of corporations, taxation of the most wealthy? Do we have more progressive taxation? To make sure that the stream of funding is there to fund the blueprint. That's the big issue. That's the big challenge. The second big challenge is to make sure that the local jurisdictions can adjust to the requirements.
You guys did a good job at breakfast this morning.
How far is the county from realizing universal pre-K in the county?
Oh, that's going to take some effort, and that effort is going to require both not only the public schools, but also our private child care providers. On average, our kindergarten population is about 10,000 children. So when we think back to what we have currently sitting in our pre-kindergarten seats, we have a little bit less than 5,000 children. So that means that there are 5,000 children that are either at home or in our child care provider settings. So the goal would be to make sure that those offerings for the pre-kindergarten seats are available not only in our public school, but also with our child care providers.
Both Searcy and Thornton remain optimistic that Maryland can get it right.
We have some economic challenges that we're facing, and bridge collapsing, and people don't know what's happening, you see? And so that's okay, that's all right. The main thing is what? We don't give up. We know exactly, we have laid out a course. We've passed the law, which requires us to do certain things, and we'll continue to work together to make sure it's fully funded.
Reporting on the blueprint for Maryland's future, I'm Byron Scott, CTV News.
And be sure to tune in tomorrow as I examine the Blueprint's plan for elevating the teaching profession. And before we go to the break, Simon Buggs has some updates on the Commanders' rookie minicamp.
What's up, everyone? Hope you had a great weekend. And coming up in sports, some rookies from the Washington Commanders touched on what it was like taking the field during their rookie minicamp, and the Washington Wizards receive a high draft pick to continue their rebuild. All that and more in a bit. Don't go anywhere.
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is him. Every day he's hungry for something. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then it kind of starts to work itself out.
The death of George Floyd, who died in police custody Monday night.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation. It's going to take more than just us, as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to help us make a change, because it just can't be us.
Okay, everyone, it's time for your Monday Sports Page. This exciting offseason continued for the Washington Commanders as the team held the annual rookie minicamp over the weekend. And media was able to catch a glimpse as to what this rookie class can bring to the team in 2024. Among the rookies in the camp was quarterback Jaden Daniels out of LSU, cornerback Mike Sanderstill from Michigan, and tight end Ben Sinnott from Kansas State. And the trio touched on what it felt like putting on that burgundy and gold helmet for the first time.
Man, it was awesome. I said be able to live out a childhood dream. Seeing my helmet, in my locker, obviously a jersey, come out and get to practice. You can't take these times for granted, because at the end of the day, it's something that a lot of people work for. A lot of people will be able to achieve their dreams. So God blessed me to be in this position, man. So I'm just happy.
It feels great. There's a history of names that wore these uniforms, and just to be one of many, I'm just ready to carry on the Commander pride and raise hell.
I mean, I think just being a walk-on, seeing perspective in football from that point of view, I mean, it means so much to put the W on and be a member of the Commanders. It's something I worked so hard for, something I dreamed of doing as a kid. So being able to just put that W on, be out here competing with these guys, with these coaches, it means everything. I'm so blessed and grateful to be in this opportunity.
Washington will now shift to their OTA workouts, which begin tomorrow. Sticking with football, the UMD football team has added another player to their team via the transfer portal and former Notre Dame punter Bryce McPherson. The North Carolina native kicked 38 punts this past season for the Fighting Irish and averaged 45 yards per kick. McPherson also placed 5 punts inside the 20-yard line with just 2 touchbacks. He was also Notre Dame's main holder for field goals as well as extra points during the second half of the 2023 season. The Washington Wizards continue to build for the future as they have landed the number 2 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. Washington finished with a 15-67 record, which was 14th in the Eastern Conference and caused them to miss the playoffs for the 3rd straight season. The NBA draft takes place from June 26th to the 27th. And wrapping up sports, the Terps men's lacrosse team took down Princeton over the weekend in the first round of the NCAA tournament, 16-8. Maryland will face off next against Duke on Saturday. And that wraps up your Monday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thanks, Simon. And now for a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be partly cloudy. Tuesday we'll have showers with a high of 71 and a low of 63. Wednesday, that rain continues with a chance of thunderstorms. Thursday, partly sunny with a high of 75 and a low of 60. And for a look at our community calendar, it's Asian American Heritage Month, and Filipinos of Prince George's County will be at the Surratt's Clinton Library tomorrow evening. Hear about the experiences of Filipino migrants who have made new homes in the county, as well as their backgrounds and their search for the American dream. This event starts at 6 p.m. For more information, contact 240-455-5451. And that wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.